Despite living in a modern century, there are still unique communities that preserve traditions and their culture. This community stands out on a global because of their different characteristics, live a much different life than most people. For example, community. Africa has a significant place in this. In Tanzania, which is located in East Africa, there is a tribe called Hadza. That made this tribe unique is their constant dependence on hunting and concocting to survive. Even in the modern era, they don't feel connected to the modern world and continue to live the lifestyle of their ancestral tribe. In the Arusha region of Tanzania, Arusha is located in the northern part of the country, which is mostly rural areas and infested by Africa's iconic wildlife and the local tribes. Modern life in this country mostly concentrated in the capital Dodoma, which is located in the central region of Tanzania, and in coastal cities like Dar es Salaam and Zanzibar. Hadza tribes maintained their traditional way of life in small groups scattered around the Lake Eyasi, west of the Arusha. In this video, with the help of our Tanzanian guides and local cameramen, we will explore a day in the life of the Hadza tribe. They will show us tools they use to hunt, where they sleep, animals they hunt, and how they prepare food. A new day starts in the morning. A member of the tribe have set up a bed under a boulder and would start the day with hunting. Despite living a tribal lifestyle, Hadza tribe speaking in Swahili, their Tanzanian national language, also have their own language, which they call Hadzane, that they use amongst themselves. For example, you can hear their language when they greet our team. They speak out loud and often use click sounds and stick their tongue out to convey different meanings. While our first impression of them is formed, we saw that some of them were wearing jeans and t-shirts like regular people. If we take a closer look inside the caves, we can see that they're protecting themselves from the rain beneath these rocks so that they can sleep comfortably. They also store equipment and supplies that they don't want to wet in the cave. This cave includes the horn of a real animal. In the past, they will separate the heads of the animals they hunt, along with his horns, and put them out in the open. The reason they put the trumpet together in a way, this is not for religious rituals, but rather to be sold to visitors at $50 to $100. Thanks to social media, Hadza become more famous lately, which has increased their visitor count. If you want to record them for a day, you have to pay them directly. If you don't want to risk being shot with an arrow, you have to pay them. This is the other one. This Hadza hunter had set up his bow and organizing people to go hunting. Hadza tribe is not a large community. They live in groups of 20 to 30 people. Each group has its own family, with wife, husband, and children. Some families live in rock shelters, while others build temporary shelter of tree branches. No tribal leadership or established hierarchical structure within the community. They make all the decisions related to their life cycle through mutual agreement, and no one is superior to the other. They're just showing greater respect to older people and listen to their advice. Hunting, their main ways to survive, is something that they do almost every day. Even though they have adapt to the wild as much as possible, they rely on help. Dogs when a human's hunting ability fails. These dogs were raised by the Hadza tribe and play an important role in their survival. Basically, there's a symbiotic relationship going on here. The dogs with their keen sense of smell, detect scents invisible to humans, thus guiding the hunt. The Hadza tribe then secures its prey. And as a result, both dogs and Hadza tribes progressed through these collaborative hunting efforts. Hadza hunting group generally consists of at least 5 people, and the amount of dogs they bring in are comparable to the size of the group, often reach 5 tails. Before going hunting, they showed us their bows and arrows. They make different types of arrows for different animals. Some thin and sharp arrows, while others are thick and sharper. For smaller animals, like a baboon, thin arrows work well. For larger animals, like wild boars and deer, thicker and sharper arrows are needed. Sometimes they stick toxic resin from trees and plants to arrows of things. This ensures the animal dies quickly, so that the hunting becomes easier. Their bows are usually as tall as adults. That allows the darts that they launch reach longer distances. Shorter bow, lighter, but it has a limited range. So that Hadza mostly used a longbow. They started their journey, and a small group start looking for food for breakfast. For breakfast, Hadza society generally consume honey that are harvested from bees that nest in tree holes. After walking for a while, they found a tree and checked, is there a honeycomb in it? If they find a huge honeycomb, they never waste honey and take them for themselves. Don't think the Hadza tribe only eats meat. They also enjoy wild fruits and nutritious plants that they gather from nature. Other than that, they obtain massive amounts of energy from the natural honey that they obtain. And honey, considered one of the most cherished foods, but this time they were a little disappointed. There was no honey in the tree. Then they started walking deeper into the forest. With our cameraman, if they don't want to starve, they have to find prey for families and their dogs. It's also important to note that even though the Hadza tribe maintain a settled existence in their territory, they do seasonal migration to areas that are more productive during the data fruit season. Baby Dad found it in the same area throughout the year. As we continued walking through the trees, lush green branches bring a sense of peace. When we got to an area open, we were greeted by a lake. Hadza tribe meets all needs. Their water from natural lakes like this. If no one drills a well for them, they have no choice but to rely on source natural water. They use this lake water for bathing and drinking. Sometimes they even drink muddy water without hesitation. Don't worry about them. Their bodies have developed immunity to the wild environment and way tougher than regular people. For example, look at this group of 3. They found a puddle, small water that looks really dirty and muddy. Even so, the Hadza tribe wash their hands and faces with this water and even drink it. If there's no lakes or rivers nearby and they need water, they will dig the ground. They take a thin stick and stick it into the ground. If they sense any moisture, they excavate the area by hand in metal containers to find water. Back to the hunt. The group that we joined found another tree hole about an hour after leaving. This hole is bigger than the one before, and this time they can take the honey produced by the bees. It seems they've put together a nice bounty. This time, while taking honey from a tree, they don't use gloves at all. The people of Hadza showed great courage in terms of bee stings, and with ease, burrowing their bare hands into almost anything. They eat the honey along with the comb. Don't care if there's bees on it. For example, this shows the struggles of other groups. To collect bees from trees, the bravest among them put his hand in the honeycomb. and gives the honeycomb to his friends. The Hadza, who start their day by gathering in the morning, decided to take a break around noon and return to their camp. Shortly thereafter, they encountered a hunting group and concocting others in camp. Hadza meeting and resting area usually be under big, old trees. Big trees, this gives them a shady place to rest and contribute to tribal socialization. For now, they managed to have breakfast with bee honey, but they will be hungry again at night. So they're gonna take a little break and then work to hunt larger animals. While they rest for a while, let me show you the nearest tent. For example, this tent made of sturdy tree branches is the Hadza family's. Inside it, a woman, a man, and their children live. These tents are perfect for summer, but it leaks during heavy rain. Sandstorm or high winds could easily destroy a small shelter. This is a Hadza citizen. Show how they sleep inside their house. The interior seems pretty shady, and yet they don't have pillows or beds. The truth? It appears they slept on a white tarp. While the men were busy hunting and gathering, the women and children often entertained the tourists. In exchange for entertaining tourists, they get the money that helped this tribe survive. They dance with tourists or sell handicrafts. With him, in the afterlife, the streets of the harvest rate in the drunken village. Other than that, girls and children have other important responsibilities. They are adept at tracking and digging up tubers, like bits, potatoes and carrots. These tubers, that they gathered from the forest, serves as an important source of dietary fiber, and the responsibility of collecting entrusted to women and children. For example, when the men are resting, let's join the ladies and children on a journey. They disperse the camp and into the woods with the kids, and we followed behind them. As they walked towards the meeting area, let's share more information, more about their characteristics. In the Hadza tribe, good woman, children have very short hair. Not only the Hadza tribe, but almost all the tribes in Africa have women with short hair, because long hair was not part of their culture. Women in tribal culture, never seen as an object of beauty. And just as natural as men, they usually wear traditional skirts and short clothes made of fabric. Men and women in this community are monogamous. There is no polygamy in the Hadza tribe. They give birth to as many children as they can afford, not driven by personal aspirations, but considered a fundamental necessity for the continuity of the tribe. The bigger and more the tribal population, the easier it is for them to survive in the wild. But unfortunately, the lifespan of these tribal people is not too long. Research showed that the average life expectancy in the Hadza tribe is about 33 years old. Although it can sometimes be up to 39 years old, infant mortality rate in this tribe is 21, which means 1 out of every 5 newborns died before growing up. As a result, most of them don't even live to age. 50s, on the contrary, in advanced modern society, people easily lived into their 70s, and even the 90s. Poor hygiene and inadequate nutrition, most likely to cause their body to break down. As time goes by, they got sick and, for not being able to see a doctor, often die of simple diseases. While we explain these things, they arrived at a place where they would dig the ground. They had an axe and a sturdy digging stick to dismantle the ground. As you can see, kids found a bunch of pointy plants. And sharp, this plant resembles an onion, but not an ordinary plant. It has an underground fruit. This fruit will feed them and gives them fiber. Kids work together. Take turns to rest. For about half an hour, they dig the ground by using digging sticks. When fatigue starts to strike, another kid from the group will take over. They're already very close to reaching the fruit, and soon they will pull the first fruit from the ground. One of the children saw the fruit and start digging with his hands to grab it faster. This is a happy time. Son of Hadza plucks the fruit from its roots and showed them to us. Those who were hungry began to eat the fruits. As soon as it's pulled off the ground, the boy ate the fruit with a great appetite. Not just because he was hungry, but also because he seemed to enjoy it. Yeah, this is definitely the onion. One of the women peeled the onion, and eat it with gusto. Our guide explained that this root fruit contains a lot of water. Hadza tribe eat fruits. This is not only to fill their bellies, but also to meet their water needs. Of course, there's no hierarchy amongst these female gatherers. When they discovered a food source, they happily collect the fruit. Disputes can arise when sharing. For example, third, woman. This suddenly engaged in a verbal and physical altercation. They disagreed on how to divide the gifts that collected. Fortunately, the debate did not continue, and they give away some to the woman behind and told her to go. This is the woman who argued. He and his children were filling cloth bag with food. He has done a very efficient with his 2 children. She has more than 5 fruit bowls, and the cloth bag on her shoulder was pretty full. Woman sitting on this ground is a little sad because he didn't pick enough fruit. Bag over her shoulder looked so empty, and she sat on the ground with her young child. She would probably feel ashamed of her husband when he go to camp, and maybe they'll have a big fight. Our guide comforted him a little with his hands, but she looked so sad and depressed. The woman who collected the most food seemed cheerful and talked happily into our microphone. It is worth mentioning that in the Hadza tribe, men prefer to marry strong women and broad-shouldered with big feet. While in contemporary society, men often prefer women who are lean and fit. In a tribe centered on survival, a couple that has the power and dominance is considered important. This gathering moment clearly show this thing. Strongest woman who collects the most food will bring home more. On the same day, another group of women went out to collect berries, like wild blueberries, from the branches of the tree. Proven that they did this task in groups. The Hadza tribe does not work alone, but rather work collectively and collaborate for their survival. Even the men, elderly who have strong hands and feet, help the women in the task of collecting. In the afternoon, the men went back to preparing bows and their arrows to hunt larger animals. This time, a group of 4 young hunters joined the team. Make this group a bigger. They had to hunt at least a deer or wild boar not to starve at night. They set out quickly before dark, and we followed them. These dogs often track scent and guide the hunters based on the smell that they pick up on. They move through open areas and woods, sometimes travel up to 10 kilometers per day to find prey. Each man was agile and athletic, able to pull a bow and shoots an arrow in seconds. They also set traps along the animal trail to increase their chances of success. They even started a fire with aromatic herbs to lure desired animals into their territory. Shortly after setting the trap, the first contact happened. A child sees something moving in the grass and aimed his arrow at a tree. He made the first shot for the team. The hunters quickly went to where the arrow was shot. It looks like they won't be starving today. They made several arrow shots in a row. They might hit something. One of them went to check out the area. Yes, they hunt the young antelope. Nevertheless, this caused disappointment among the hunters. They couldn't end the day with as small a catch as it's two of them strapping the deer to a stick and bring it back to the campsite. The rest continued to search for other prey. About half an hour later, they make contact with other animals. This time they aim for a hole in the ground. They immediately drew the bow and shoots the arrows. The animal immediately sought refuge in its burrow. They might hit him. Chances are it's a mole or a squirrel. To get it out, they had to dig up the ground. After about 15 minutes of digging, they finally succeeded. And it was her, a sizable field mouse. They would enjoy this meal at night. The final haul of that 5-hour manhunt was at the top of the tree. Hadza tribe began aiming bow and their arrows towards the tree. Unfortunately, they can't hunt deer or large wild boars. Today, they have to be satisfied with smaller animals. Animals on trees probably won't be enough to satisfy. Yet they're great snipers. Their arrows always hit the target, killing animals quickly. This time they made it again. The animal was already dead when it fell from the treetops. Hunter pulls out an arrow he sticks into an animal. That, and showing them to us, the animal looked like a young hyena. Hadza tribe never waste the animals they hunt. They eat everything and use its skin to make tools. After ending the day with 3 small catches, the hunters went back to camp, where they got a surprise. Another group that we didn't record, successfully hunting a large antelope. They carried him back to the campsite on his feet. In the Hadza tribe, if an antelope or a large wild boar is hunted, the hunters are so proud to carry it on their shoulders. A Hadza man stands out with the catch and see it as a source of pride. They love to show off their power by posing with this animal, especially as a display for the tourists. After mentioning this, the group that hunts the antelope placed it inside one of their tent to rest. Looks like their dinner options night. It is an antelope, this mature venison tender and cooked quickly over the fire, thus enhancing the taste and enjoyment of food. The women gather around the antelope, so the dinner menu is most likely set. Shortly thereafter, they will skin the antelope, and the ladies would cut it into pieces. Skinning animals is an easy task for a Hadza man. They're not just skilled hunters, but also a skilled butcher. They carefully separate the skin from the flesh. Without damaging the meat, one of the hunters seemed very hungry and tore a piece of that animal to shreds, to be eaten raw. He believed that eating deer ears was very healthy. After skinning a deer, who first got their meat part, of course? Is his dog? They've been running around all day, and just as hungry as humans, because they didn't have a fridge. They hang meat on the tree. They would eat it immediately. This is the most tender part, and scented from animals. Hadza quickly divided the meat into pieces and enjoy a barbecue over the fire. They eat deer very voraciously. If the meat is tough, they used a knife to cutting it up into little pieces. Before being eaten, don't think they dumped the intestines. The 2 hunters took the intestine to a corner and eat them raw, without cleaning or cooking it. This is how day by day passes for the tribe of Hadza. In the northern hinterland of Tanzania, they wake up so early and sustain their lives by gathering and hunting. In this way, They preserve their traditional way of life and earning from tourists, like the US who recorded it. If you enjoy these types of videos, you can like and subscribe to this channel. Goodbye.